This is a full story. Puppy wishes you all a happy and enjoyable story. On the eve of the wedding, I discovered my boyfriend's secret. He had posted a blog post visible only to one person. If you change your mind, the bride can be replaced at any time. It was posted on the day we officially announced our relationship. The other person was his high school female desk mate, a close friend of the opposite sex for 10 years. Armed with that blog post, I found him at their bachelor party. He frowned and said impatiently, "You're making trouble out of nothing. Always dwelling on the past. It's no wonder no one loves you." In the 4th year of our relationship, with Rocky and I stabilizing in our careers, we began discussing marriage. The night before the wedding, he was called away by a phone call. It's customary abroad to have a bachelor party the night before the wedding. The voice on the phone was familiar. "Hurry over, Rocky. Same place as always. We've already reserved a table. Tonight we drink till we drop." It was Serena. "You?" Before I could say a word, Rocky interrupted. "I have many classmates I haven't seen in a long time. I'll just go for a while." I pursed my lips and reluctantly agreed. These days, because of work at the company, he hadn't been in a good mood. Seeing the wedding approaching, I thought it would be good for him to meet up with old friends and relax. However, maybe he rushed too much. Before leaving, Rocky went back to the bedroom to get something. And when he came back, he left his phone on the coffee table. I hesitated for a long time before deciding to pick it up and look. Rocky had a habit of deleting chat records, and he hadn't posted many blogs. So I scrolled down a bit and quickly found the 2 blog posts he had posted 4 years ago. One was a photo of him and me when he agreed to my confession and announced on the blog that he had a girlfriend. And the other, "If you change your mind, the bride can be replaced at any time." I had never seen this blog post before, and with trembling fingers, I clicked on it to view who could see it. This sentence, visible only to Serena, and she had immediately liked it. Serena had returned from abroad half a year ago. During the process of meeting the parents, Rocky went out to answer a call and returned with a furrowed brow, saying he had to go out for a while. "What's the matter?" He paused for a moment and turned back. "It's work stuff. You wouldn't understand even if I told you." His tone carried a faint anxiety and reproach. It was as if saying those 2 sentences to me would waste his precious time. I stood there, my expression somewhat stiff. Seemingly aware of my embarrassment, he hesitated for a moment, forced out a smile. "Haley, please help greet Uncle, Auntie, and my parents." After saying that, he left without looking back. In this state, I felt somewhat familiar. Sure enough, after bidding farewell to both parents, I called him many times before someone answered. But it was Serena who spoke. "Sorry, Haley. I just got here and lost my phone, and I didn't bring any cash." I only remembered Rocky's phone number. I subconsciously gripped my phone tighter and asked, "Where's Rocky?" "He's gone to order food for me, afraid he won't find me again, so he let me hold his phone." As she spoke, her voice grew more playful, obviously very pleased. "What's wrong, Haley? Do you need him for something?" In that instant, I was somewhat stunned, not knowing how to respond. Her tone was natural and intimate, as if she were Rocky's rightful girlfriend. When I arrived at the restaurant Serena mentioned by taxi, I immediately spotted her sitting by the floor-to-ceiling window. She was eating noodles while playing with Rocky's phone, and Rocky handed her a tissue, wiping away soup stains from her mouth in a completely natural way. But I still remembered that not long after we started dating, when Rocky went to the restroom, I answered one of his calls. When he came out, seeing me holding his phone, he immediately took it back with a stern voice. "Haley, I have a strong sense of personal boundaries. I hope you can respect my privacy." "Haley's sister." Seeing me, Serena waved from afar. After I sat down, she apologized. "I'm sorry, Haley's sister. I just heard Rocky say you were having a meeting with both sets of parents today to discuss marriage, so I just called him out like that." I lowered my eyes and remained silent. "Haley's sister, are you mad at me?" Serena continued, "How about this? On your wedding day, I'll give you a big red envelope as compensation." "Okay." Haley won't be mad. Suddenly Rocky spoke indifferently. "Your matters are more urgent. She understands priorities." My heart sank, and I didn't say anything. It wasn't until I dropped Serena off at the hotel and returned home that I spoke to Rocky. "You left me to deal with both sets of parents alone. Have you ever thought how embarrassing that was for me?" As he walked towards the study, he said lightly, "Don't unnecessarily vent your anger on me. Who exactly made you embarrassed? You know in your heart." His words felt like a sharp knife piercing my chest, leaving me speechless with pain. "Yes, just now at the table, my parents behaved very crudely, first demanding a dowry of $300,000, then having my uncles and aunts help arrange a job for my younger brother." Rocky turned back, seeing me standing there pale-faced, paused for a few seconds, and finally walked over, gently embracing me. "Sorry, I didn't mean that." He softened his tone slightly. "You know, Serena is my best friend. She's alone in the city. If something happens, she can only rely on me." Rocky, I've told you about my family's situation before. I took a deep breath, closing my eyes. I don't want a dowry, and my brother's job doesn't need your arrangement. If you say you don't like me, I won't pester you either. Even with my eyes closed, tears uncontrollably flowed down my cheeks. Haley, I really like you and want to marry you. Rocky's expression showed a hint of heartache as he gently wiped away the tears at the corner of my eyes with his fingertips. Do you remember what I said before? In this world, I will never abandon you. I bit my lip. What about Serena? He paused. Her and I are just friends. If there's a problem, come to me. Don't blame her, okay? I wasn't really surprised. This wasn't the first time he had defended Serena in front of me. The first time I met Serena was the summer after Rocky and I started dating. Because I had a big fight with my parents, I decided to stay at school, and he suggested I come home with him for a visit. The next day there, we coincidentally ran into a high school class reunion of Rocky's friends. Classmates in our class are really close. We gather every vacation, Rocky said as he opened the door to the private room. Before my eyes could adjust, a figure rushed over and leaped into Rocky's arms. Daddy, come meet me, she exclaimed. Rocky pulled her off him and introduced me with a mix of reprimand and affection. This is my girlfriend. No jokes. Despite the scolding tone, there was affection in his eyes. The girl steadied herself on his shoulder and looked at me, pausing for a few seconds before smiling and extending her hand. Hello, I'm Serena, Rocky's desk mate for 3 years. She had her hair in a high ponytail and wore a white t-shirt and overalls, with a lively and spirited demeanor. Throughout the gathering, she made every effort to show me how close she and Rocky were. Back in the basketball game when you injured your leg, it was me who stood up for justice, she joked. Rocky chuckled. Stop it, miss. If it weren't for you, we wouldn't have fought with the other side. Hey, Serena glared with her round eyes, pinching his arm. Watch your words. Next time something like that happens, I won't help you again. Don't need you. My girlfriend will help me, he replied. It seemed Serena had just noticed me sitting nearby. She approached with a glass in hand. Sorry, Haley's sister, we're close, always joking around. Hope you don't mind. Despite being older than me by half a year, she insisted on calling me Haley's sister. Before I could respond, their classmates chimed in. What a joke, you were so close to Rocky in high school. If his girlfriend minds, would it be over? I hesitated and saw Rocky's expression turn cold as he slammed his glass on the table. Chen, you're drunk. Later, I went to the restroom and returned to find only a few people left in the private room. Rocky and Serena sat in the corner, oblivious to my presence. I overheard Serena saying, we agreed that if we both reached 35 without partners, we'd marry each other. Now that you have a girlfriend, I feel relieved. Rocky gazed into her eyes and asked softly, so, you really don't mind at all? Yeah, Serena replied nonchalantly, patting his shoulder. Take care, my boy, and be happy. After leaving, I hesitated and finally asked Rocky. He held my hand and explained quietly, back then, we were young, close friends, just joking around. I suppressed the bitterness in my heart, took a deep breath, and said slowly, but he said you were just one step away. Those 2 words were hard for me to utter. He was drunk and talking nonsense. Are you drunk too? Rocky suddenly raised his voice sharply, startling me. I instinctively tried to pull my hand back, but he held it even tighter. We've known each other for so long. If there was really something between us, it would have happened long ago. He turned my shoulder, looking earnestly at me. But now, the one I'm dating is you. Doesn't that prove my feelings? Later, Serena went abroad for an exchange program and decided to stay there for her postgraduate studies. After graduation, we stayed in this city. With his excellent work abilities, Rocky was promoted steadily, and I received several raises. Knowing about my family situation, he became even better to me. But just as everything seemed stable, and we began discussing marriage, Serena returned to China. From the first day she returned, she seamlessly integrated into Rocky and my life. One night, when I had a low fever, Rocky gave me medicine to take. Just as I was about to sleep, Serena suddenly called, "Call Rocky. My car broke down in the suburbs, and I can't get a taxi. Come rescue me." I held a steaming cup of water, not able to speak yet. But Rocky said, "You've taken your medicine. Go to sleep. I'll go out for a bit." Without hesitation, he left me, still running a fever. Just like many times before, it made me hesitate and waver. Maybe we should postpone this marriage thing. Sensing my hesitation, Rocky planned a grand proposal on my 25th birthday. He even invited Serena and a few of his closest colleagues to witness the occasion. Facing Serena, he took out a diamond ring and slipped it onto my finger, his voice low and gentle. "Haley, I know you've had a tough time before. I really, truly want to make you happy. Serena added, Haley's sister, I know you have some misunderstandings about me, but Rocky truly cares about you. The others chimed in eagerly. Rocky planned this proposal for days. I took a leave of absence from work just to witness his love. Say yes, say yes. I felt momentarily lost. I chased him for 2 years, dated for 4, and waited for this day for too long. But when I opened my mouth, I found myself unable to speak. Before I could respond, Rocky looked at me, his eyes pleading. Haley, if I rejected him now, in front of those colleagues, it would embarrass him, wouldn't it? And after countless compromises and concessions at home, anonymity at school, countless memories flashed through my mind. So in the end, I said yes to him. I just wanted someone to love me wholeheartedly. And at that time, I thought that person would be Rocky. Miss, your phone has been ringing. The taxi driver's reminder brought me back to reality. I lowered my head and saw the screen flashing. Little Serena. That's how Rocky had her saved in his contacts. I bit my lip and answered the call. Haley, did I leave my phone at home? I replied, holding back the swirling emotions in my heart. Do you want me to bring it to you? No need, just leave it there. I'll pick it up later. The call ended, and the taxi quickly stopped at the bar entrance. I gathered my thoughts and found my way to the booth number from our chat history. In the dim light, a familiar figure suddenly entered my sight. Serena stood in front of a tall, burly man, saying something, but the man reached out to touch her face. Rocky swiftly stepped forward, pulling her behind him protectively. Dare to touch her and see what happens. The man paused, then angrily retorted, Who the hell are you? Mind your own business. Without hesitation, Rocky replied firmly, I'm her boyfriend. Rocky. He abruptly turned around and saw me standing not far away. His expression changed in an instant. How can I describe it? Surprise, panic, anger, several emotions flashed across his face, only to fade into an eerie calmness like a still pond. The wedding is tomorrow. What are you doing here so late? His gaze fell on my hand, his eyes chilling. Didn't I tell you not to touch my phone? Yes, but I did touch it now. I managed a smile uglier than tears. If I hadn't come, I wouldn't have seen that you introduce yourself as her boyfriend in front of others. I pointed towards Serena behind him. She seemed startled and retreated behind Rocky, but she peeked out again. Sorry, Haley's sister, that guy was causing trouble. Rocky was just trying to help me out. I looked at her. On that delicate face was an expression of apology. She remained as confident and straightforward as ever, which made me feel like I was making a mountain out of a molehill. Suddenly, my rationality snapped. I opened Rocky's blog and scrolled to a post from 4 years ago. If you two were completely innocent, then tell me, what's this? Rocky looked at me, lips pursed, his expression instantly serious. Serena seemed about to explain, but Rocky cut her off after just one word. He turned to me, brow furrowed. Haley, we're getting married tomorrow. What does it matter now to dredge up something from 4 years ago? Always clinging to the past, no wonder you keep saying no one loves you. A sharp pain surged through me, threatening to overwhelm me. Seeing me like this, Rocky softened again. Let's talk calmly, okay? Please don't make a scene. Realizing something was wrong, his classmates gathered around. In Serena's plaintive explanation, I became the paranoid one, snooping through my boyfriend's phone on the eve of our wedding, digging up old grievances. These were Serena's friends she brought, classmates for 3 years, and they immediately sided with her. A blunt guy spoke up, Haley, this is unnecessary. If they could have been together, they would have done so long ago. Why bother? Rocky snapped quietly, shut up. I clenched my fists hard, trying to stay calm, but my voice trembled uncontrollably. Fine. Since you two love each other so much, you can have the wedding venue tomorrow. I placed my phone on the bar counter and turned to leave, but Rocky caught up and pulled me into his arms. I didn't mean that, Haley. His voice paused momentarily, drowned out by the music, emotions blurred. It was just a joke. Serena and I were close before, but that's all in the past. When I think about the future, the only person I see is you. You're the one I've planned to spend the rest of my life with. If I said something wrong, if you want to scold me or even slap me, go ahead. But don't deny my feelings for you. Don't leave me, please. In the dimly lit bar, he held me tightly, so tightly, just like the day I fell for him. During a club hiking trip, I slipped from a steep slope due to slippery ground. Rocky acted swiftly and grabbed me. I'm actually quite thin, but still an adult's weight. He held onto me for what seemed like ages until classmates ahead came back and rescued us. For rescuing me, Rocky slightly dislocated his arm. I felt guilty, but he comforted me. It's okay, anyone would have done the same in that situation. No, not anyone, not really. When I fell into the river with my younger brother, my parents were in a hurry to save him, while I swallowed a belly full of lake water, rescued when I was unconscious by a lifeguard, infected intestines, almost dying. I have always felt that no one in the world would love me, and Rocky is the only exception. So even though we have been together for so long, there is no period of passionate love where we want to stick to every second. His heart has always been calm and gentle toward me. It doesn't matter. Someone is willing to love me wholeheartedly and plan for my future, which is already rare and valuable. Rocky. I stared at his hand tightly around my waist, my voice trembling. I don't dare to trust you anymore. He took out his phone and opened the blog post right in front of me. If you don't like it, I'll delete it now. Is that okay? And as for tomorrow's wedding, to make you feel at ease, Serena won't attend. His tone was almost pleading. In the end, I softened my heart once again. This night, I didn't sleep much at all. Just as dawn broke, I was awakened and dressed in a wedding gown, makeup applied. Everything proceeded smoothly. Among Rocky's classmates, Serena was nowhere to be seen again, so my inexplicable anxiety began to ease bit by bit. At the wedding venue, my father, who hadn't treated me kindly in over 20 years, managed a stiff smile. Rocky is good. Your younger brother's down payment was saved thanks to him. You must listen to him. My heart sank. What do you mean? But he refused to answer further. Amidst the watching eyes, he placed my hand in Rocky's. Music filled the air. Amidst the lively blessings of the crowd, the MC stepped aside to reveal a large projection screen. As per the program, a short video was supposed to play for a few minutes, a montage of the sweet memories of Rocky and me over the years. We hadn't done many romantic things together, and I struggled to scrape together just 2 minutes from our photo albums. But suddenly, the screen dimmed. It was as if in a dimly lit corner of a KTV, Rocky had Serena trapped in his arms, looking down at her. Why won't you consider me? And Serena leaned forward, planting a kiss on his lips. It's not time yet. I want to go out into the world, explore. Then the scene shifted again, in the night, Rocky driving with Serena, filming him on her phone. You come to find me in the middle of the night, won't Haley be angry? Rocky's tone was light. Let her be angry. Nothing is more important than your safety. Finally, from last night's bar, Serena raised her glass, happy wedding, and Rocky stared intensely into her eyes, his gaze heavy. What is there to be happy about? You liked Haley, didn't you? It doesn't matter who it is, it's all a compromise. The video abruptly cut off. Silence filled the room. I suddenly remembered last night. Before leaving the bar, Serena had downed a bottle of wine and shook my hand drunkenly. Can't come to the scene. It's okay, Haley. I've prepared a wedding gift for you. You'll definitely like it. So this was her prepared gift. A huge tsunami of pain swept over me, a cold that froze my veins to the core. Every second after the video played felt like an eternity of torment in my heart. Haley. Rocky managed to spit out just 2 words, when suddenly, the doors of the banquet hall were pushed open. Serena, in a beautiful trailing wedding dress, entered carrying a large bouquet of roses, a drunken flush still on her face. She stopped below the stage, looking up at him. There was a hint of tears in the corners of her eyes, but a smile on her lips. She held up the ring in her hand. Yesterday, when you came, you brought this ring from 7 years ago. I understand your intentions. Rocky, I've seen enough of the outside world. We don't need to wait until we're 35. Now I'm here to take you away. Come with me. Before she came, she must have had quite a bit to drink, her eyes showing a tipsy drunkenness. And beside me, Rocky stood frozen. He stared straight at the silver ring in Serena's hand, as if engulfed by a flood of memories. After a while, he finally spoke. You said freedom is more important to you. I was wrong, Rocky. I can't watch you marry someone else, and then there's no chance for us. Tears in her eyes, Serena continued, do you remember what you said? You said, as long as I'm willing, the bride can change anytime. Is that statement forever valid? Rocky didn't immediately respond. Subconsciously, he turned to look at me, seeing me standing there dazed, a hint of apology in his eyes. Haley, I'll make it up to you. He quickly explained to me in a low voice, she's just a girl. In front of so many former classmates, I couldn't let Serena lose face like that. I promise you, this is the last time. Having said that, without waiting for my reaction, he turned back to Serena. Yes. The crowd was in an uproar. Countless eyes of varying emotions fell on me. Shock, pity, disdain, and a clear sentence that I heard, how pitiful. Not only was she stolen from, even her fiancé doesn't stand by her. In that moment, I keenly felt that the flicker of hope in my heart, extinguished and reignited repeatedly, had finally been completely extinguished, never to light up again. After a pause, Rocky said again, but I didn't want to hear the rest of his words, and there really was no need. Rocky. I spoke softly behind him, this wedding is off. I don't need your compensation either. Just one more look at you, and I'll vomit. Having said that, I turned around, lifted my skirt and walked off the stage. Haley, Rocky called after me from behind, but I didn't look back, just kept walking towards the door. But just as I reached the door, my parents stopped me. My mom grabbed my wrist, lowering her voice urgently. Haley, are you crazy? Relatives and friends are all here. Why did you run off like this? With everything that's happened, shouldn't I have run? I retorted. My mom was stunned for a moment, then said, there must be some misunderstanding. I think Rocky is a good person. Maybe you didn't do enough, didn't hold on to him tightly enough? I stared at her blankly for a while, then suddenly burst out laughing. Mom, are you really my mom? If you hate me so much, why did you give birth to me in the first place? She stared into my hollow eyes, unable to speak for a moment. It wasn't until my dad spoke sternly, you're getting married, whether you like it or not. When we go back, you'll apologize to Rocky. As a girl, you need to broaden your heart and be more tolerant. A strong wave of nausea surged up, and I bent over, dry heaving. If I stayed here for another second, I would vomit. Seeing me like this, my mom softened her tone. Haley, we've raised you with so much effort. If you don't think about yourself, think about us as parents. You're not young anymore. If you leave Rocky, can you find a better person? As she spoke, the door was pushed open again. Rocky hurried out, seeing me still standing there, seeming to relax slightly. Haley, listen to me, let me explain. Explain what? I looked at him. The wedding process, the last part was your decision. Even the video was something you confirmed. Rocky, I was wrong. I willingly chased you for 2 years. It was my fault. But if you hate me so much, why did you have this wedding? Why did you embarrass me in front of everyone? Rocky froze. I didn't. Don't talk nonsense. My dad interjected sharply from the side, then smiled warmly at Rocky. Rocky, let's go greet our relatives and friends. Before leaving, he warned me with a stern look. After meeting the parents that day, they were still scolding Rocky in front of me for not knowing manners, but within a few days, their attitude had completely changed. Suddenly, I had a suspicion in my heart. Rocky, I looked at him. Did you secretly give the betrothal gifts to my parents behind my back? Yes, but Haley, it's because I truly wanted to marry you. Rocky reached out as if to hold my hand. Today was really unexpected. Up to today, Serena and I are no longer possible. What I said just now was because she's always been a person who cares about face. I didn't want her to lose face like that, but I'm sure I won't marry her. I only want to marry you. I wanted to cry, but I also wanted to laugh. My dad wanted the betrothal gifts, my brother wanted the down payment, Serena wanted face, Rocky wanted Serena. Then what about me? Just a commodity waiting to be traded. My dad offered, Rocky paid. It was that simple. I didn't want anything anymore. I won't touch me. I stepped back and shouted sternly, you're disgusting, Rocky. His eyes dimmed slightly. Ignoring him, I regained my composure and walked back inside. At the front table sat Rocky's classmates and friends. Serena, dressed in a wedding gown, sat there with slightly reddened eyes, receiving consolations from others. Don't be sad, Serena. Rocky has made his choice after all. This is a wedding, his parents and relatives are all here. Serena pursed her lips stubbornly. Didn't he say he has liked me for 10 years? I want him to prove in front of everyone that I'm more important than Haley. Otherwise, why should he prove his feelings to me? Another guy chimed in, how about it, Serena? Did you like the video I edited for you? Serena glanced at him arrogantly. It's good. I'll talk to my dad sometime soon. His department needs an editor. She was always the center of attention and never faced setbacks. Asking another person for their intentions, even at the cost of hurting me. I chuckled softly, then walked over and, before anyone could react, grabbed the plate of shredded pork in chili oil from the table and poured it all over her dress. What are you doing? Haley shrieked, scrambling to stand up and patting her dress in panic. But the chili oil had already soaked in, making her even more disheveled. Haley, are you out of your mind? Serena's eyes reddened with anger as she glared at me. Rocky chose me in front of so many people. If I were you, I'd have run home in shame long ago. How dare you come and bother me? I calmly looked at her. If anyone should feel ashamed, it's the one who knows her place. She seemed struck by those words. Who's the one who knows her place? Let me make it clear. I've known Rocky longer than you. He confessed his feelings to me before you even met him. You're just picking up what I don't want. If I asked, he would drop you anytime and choose me. In this relationship, you're the third wheel, understand? I couldn't be bothered to argue with her further. I picked up a cup of drink from the table and smashed it against her chest once again. Orange juice splashed out, making her even more disheveled. Haley, Rocky and my parents rushed over to stop me. Haley, have you gone crazy? Yes, I had. Cautious, compromising, and humbly living for 25 years. Only now did I realize that madness brings relief. My dad slapped me hard and was about to do it again, but Rocky stopped him. Uncle, don't be angry. Let me talk to Haley. He looked at me with a hint of hidden pain. Haley, don't do this. I'll make it up to you. Serena stood nearby, seemingly unable to believe it. Rocky, didn't you see her bullying me? Rocky closed his eyes, and when he opened them again, they were filled with determination. Serena, I did like you for a long time before. Even when I saw you take out that ring just now, I still thought, as a girl, I couldn't let you lose face. I've done my best for you, but now, I'm sure I love Haley. You have many relatives and friends who love you, but she only has me. I can't leave her. His words filled Serena's eyes with tears. Perhaps even he felt deeply moved by them, but my heart remained unmoved. Taking a deep breath, I calmly looked at Rocky and my parents. As for the $300,000, I haven't touched it. You sort it out yourselves. I'm not involved. Rocky seemed to anticipate what I was going to say. Haley, I cut him off. Rocky, we're done for good. Thus ended a wedding that turned into a farce. Someone recorded the video and posted it online. Originally, Serena was the one being criticized for trying to steal the groom, but after a certain comment, public opinion gradually shifted. Guys, insider info. The original bride was actually a gold digger. She asked for $300,000 as a dowry for her parents. The one who crashed the wedding wasn't the third wheel, but a heroine saving the groom from a bad situation. Now the wedding is off, and they don't intend to return the dowry. That person even leaked my phone number. For a while, my messages and friend requests were flooded with insults. Finding the commenter wasn't as difficult as I thought. From the follow list that he didn't have time to turn off, I found Serena's profile picture. I took a screenshot and sent it to Rocky. Before today ends, you make sure she deals with it, or I'll call the police. Rocky almost immediately replied, Haley, where are you? Let's meet and talk, okay? How fresh. We were together for 4 years, and he almost never responded to my messages so promptly. Once, I mentioned this indirectly. At that time, he just looked at me indifferently. Haley, proving our love doesn't mean we have to stick together all the time. But now, I ignored him, and he messaged me one after another, explaining everything in every possible way. I didn't reply, but he persisted. Until evening, the comments insulting me were still not deleted, and my phone was bombarded with more and more messages. I simply turned off my phone, took a taxi to the nearest police station, and filed a report. The next day, I saw Serena at the police station. She had sailed through life smoothly for over 20 years. Now, seeing my expression, which was extremely ugly, she reluctantly apologized to me at the police's request. Then she had her friend delete that comment and posted a clarification video. When everything was over and I walked out of the police station, it was already dark. Rocky was standing at the door. In just half a month, he had lost weight, and his face was much more haggard. In those clear eyes that I once admired, there was now a dullness. Seeing me, Rocky hurried over and stared into my eyes. Haley, I finally see you. At this moment, Serena stood beside me, but in his eyes, it seemed he could only see me. You've been ignoring my calls, not replying to my messages. After you moved out that day, you never came to the office again. Rocky looked at me cautiously. Haley, I said that was the last time. I will focus on you from now on. Rocky. Serena gritted her teeth beside us. Do you think you're justified? What's this now? You promised me you'd wait forever. She was too naive. No one, no matter how loyal, would wait forever. Like Rocky now. Rocky turned to her. Serena, you got someone to spread rumors about Haley online and exposed her phone number. Now, we can't even be friends anymore. Friends? Who wants to be friends with you? Serena laughed almost coldly. Rocky, have you been acting for so long that you've deceived yourself too? What friend would give the other a ring, confess over and over again, and end up kissing each other when drunk? Dare you tell Haley what happened on Christmas Eve last year, when you pretended to go on a business trip and came to the UK to find me? Rocky's face turned pale instantly. He couldn't say a word, his lips moved a few times, and finally, he just looked at me with despair. I lowered my eyes and smiled. Such dirty things, you can say them without blushing. Birds of a feather indeed. For a long time, he spoke softly. That's all. In the past. Haley, I really didn't expect her to come to the wedding, and I didn't know about the video. The best man was a high school classmate of ours and has always been close to Serena, so he agreed to do something like that for her. As long as you give me a chance, we can start over, and I'll give you the best of everything, can't we? As he spoke, his voice grew quieter, tinged with pain. We'd been in love for so long, and he was always so indifferent in front of me, rarely showing such strong emotions. In the past, I might have felt very sad. Because back then, I liked him so much. I clung to him like a helpless vine, letting him control my emotions, humbly craving the love I had never received from anyone else. For this, I forced myself to ignore his preference for Serena time and time again. I even brainwashed myself, thinking that as long as he loved me, even if I wasn't his first choice and even if I suffered some grievances, it didn't matter. But grievances couldn't be compromised. Grievances only led to greater grievances. Rocky, I spoke expressionlessly, but I don't like you anymore. Just seeing you, or even just thinking about living in the same city as you, makes me feel nauseous and disgusted. The wedding turned into such a mess that I requested a week off from work. My boss is a woman 5 years older than me, named Alice. Although we're not particularly close, she has shown me kindness. Being introverted and not very likable, I haven't made many friends at work. Among the invitations sent out for the wedding, hers was one. She granted my leave request and even extended it by another week, then suggested meeting with me. I've seen everything that happened that day and the video online, she said calmly at the coffee shop downstairs from the hotel. Haley, do you plan to continue working here, or are you thinking of trying something new in a different environment? I sensed the implication in her words and felt a nervous excitement rise within me. Sure enough, Alice continued, the company is establishing a branch in Los Angeles and needs a few strong, experienced individuals to help set it up. It will involve a heavy workload and be quite challenging, but you'll receive proper compensation. Whether you want to go or not, it's up to you. You don't have to decide right away. There was no doubt that she was presenting me with a tremendous opportunity. Alice, why did you choose me? I asked. She smiled briefly. Because I've had experiences very similar to yours. Haley, one day you'll understand. Work and competence won't betray you. The most faithful person to you is yourself. In the end, I told her that I was willing to go. After leaving the police station that day, Rocky had tried to catch up with me and talk. I dialed the police emergency number right in front of him. That night, I wrote a long post detailing everything that had happened over the past few years, making it all clear to everyone. I left the matter of the 300,000 yuan entirely to my parents and Rocky to resolve. There were comments in the section condemning me, accusing me of colluding with my parents to extort a bride price. I glanced through them, calmly closed the page. After moving to Los Angeles, I changed my phone number and started a new life. As Alice had predicted, the branch office was in its early stages, with a heavy workload and demanding hours. It was for the best. The work alone left me exhausted each day, with no energy left to be sad. But occasionally, I still dreamed of Rocky. During our 4 years together, he had been good to me at times. I broke my leg once and was hospitalized. Being physically disabled, I even needed his help to go to the bathroom. Rocky, who had a germ phobia, never complained once. My parents had never celebrated my birthday much since I was a child. Knowing this, Rocky planned my birthday very seriously every year. Handmade cakes, exclusive amusement park tickets, and a new computer I'd been eyeing for half a year. Each gift showed his thoughtfulness. But, as people feared comparisons, I had always hypnotized myself with, he's been good to me too, so much so that I forced myself to ignore one fact. If he had to choose between me and Serena, he would definitely choose her without hesitation. Fortunately, Serena came back. He made his choice, and I made mine, and it wasn't too late. Maybe because I dreamed of Rocky last night, I was stunned for a moment before I went to wash. But I didn't realize until I walked downstairs to the company that there was a familiar figure standing there. It was Rocky. After leaving the original city, I learned a little bit from my university classmates about his news. After the incident at the wedding, plus my long post, his company dismissed him on the grounds of moral failure and misconduct. Rocky sent out many resumes, but didn't find a suitable job. It even affected his father's job in the system. Serena's family does new media, and after their reputation was tarnished, both their word of mouth and economic performance plummeted. In the end, they had a big fight and couldn't even be friends anymore. 10 years of loyalty crumbled under the pressure of reality and self-interest. Haley. Originally, I wanted to ignore it, but Rocky stopped me. I finally found you. I turned my head and looked at him expressionlessly. What do you want from me? Do you want me to introduce you to a job? Rocky shook his head, looking at me with an almost greedy longing. You disappeared for almost 3 months, and I couldn't reach you or your parents. Yeah. So what do you want? I looked at the time on my phone and said, Rocky, you lost your job for moral corruption, but I still have to work. He gently pulled his lips. Are you still concerned about my recent situation? Just wanted to see the joke. I ignored him and walked straight into the company. However, until a little after lunch, when my colleagues and I were busy with the plan, we planned to go out to lunch and found that he was still downstairs. In the nearly 40-degree weather in Los Angeles, he was exposed to the sun all morning and his lips were white. The next few days were like this. Los Angeles weather is unpredictable, and there are 2 afternoons of sudden rain. Pedestrians are busy avoiding, and only he stands motionless in the rain. After work, he saw me passing by with my bag and forced out a smile with some difficulty. Haley. I didn't look back and walked away. He is so persistent in this near self-abuse. Maybe to impress me or to impress himself. But my heart is quiet, and even resentment is fading away bit by bit. That night, I worked overtime until 1 o'clock in the morning to change the plan. When I left the company, the wind was a little cold. I subconsciously wrapped the coat tightly around my body. After walking a few steps, I felt dizzy for a while, shook it, and almost fell to the ground. A figure rushed over and caught me in time. Rocky's voice was full of obvious panic. Haley, what's wrong with you? I took 2 breaths, barely calmed my breath, and then broke away from his hand. I'm fine, maybe I didn't eat dinner at night and I have a little hypoglycemia. I'll take you to the hospital. Rocky, accept your self-pity behavior. This late love really makes me sick. I looked at him indifferently and said, my life is very fulfilling now, work is challenging, and I'm very satisfied. If you really want me to relax a bit, don't appear in front of me again. Rocky's eyes were almost filled with pain and regret looking at me, his voice filled with obvious despair and helplessness. Haley, even if I pursue you persistently like you did 2 years ago, can't you forgive me? I sneered. Rocky, is this world running on your will? After causing harm, should I forgive you if you apologize? I have been humble and patient in front of him. Now sharp attack. He is probably not used to it, just staring at me blankly. Don't harass me again. If you continue to stand outside our company tomorrow, I will call the police for processing. I dropped the sentence and walked away. My head was slightly dizzy, so I walked very slowly. But every step is firm. Later, for about a year, I didn't hear any news about Rocky. But the branch office was developing smoothly, and we expanded the team several times. I had already taken on a leadership role in the project group. My monthly income was nearly triple what it used to be. Gradually, I understood what Alice had told me. I would not betray myself. My love for myself would only grow deeper and never fade. That day, our department secured a contract worth tens of millions. To celebrate, we went to a nearby seafood restaurant for dinner. During the meal, I had a few drinks and felt a bit dizzy, so I went out to the rooftop to clear my head. As the moist, cool breeze brushed my cheeks, my phone suddenly rang. It was an unknown number. Hello? Hello? I picked up and asked several times, but there was no response. Thinking it might be a wrong number, I was about to hang up when Rocky's hoarse voice came through. Haley, how did you get my number? He seemed to chuckle softly. A dying man wants to see you one last time. Even if they despise me, they would still give me your number. I said coldly, Rocky, you're almost 30 years old. Is playing these childish tricks amusing to you? Haley, I'm not playing tricks. I didn't lie to you. I'm really dying. 6 months ago, Rocky finally found a decent job, but during the health check for employment, he was diagnosed with leukemia. Despite finding a suitable bone marrow match and undergoing surgery, severe rejection reactions led to worsening conditions. Wound cleaning. It's very painful. It used to be once every 2 weeks, now it's becoming more frequent. I might not hold on much longer. Before I die, I just wanted to hear your voice. Haley, can you come see me one more time? After a long silence, I asked him for the hospital's address. Before meeting him, I had been considering the possibility that he used a feigned illness to deceive me into coming. However, upon entering the hospital room, I immediately confirmed the truth in his words. Rocky's haggard, pained face and the aura of death that shrouded him due to prolonged illness couldn't be faked. Back in college, he was quite a charismatic figure. Even after we started dating, there were occasional photos of him on the confession wall, taken by younger students, asking if he was single. But now lying in the hospital bed, so thin that he looked like a sheet of paper, with a pallid face, Rocky appeared utterly unfamiliar. It seems you're doing well now. With great difficulty, he lifted the corners of his lips. Haley, it seems the world hasn't been too harsh on you after all. After thinking for a moment, I asked him, hasn't Serena come to see you? Despite their falling out earlier, they had been friends for over a decade. She got married. I nodded. Oh, that's wise. I sat by his bedside for a while, looking at a few wrinkled oranges on the cabinet, saying a few perfunctory words, and eventually fell silent. Suddenly, Rocky said, Haley, I really regret it. Looking back now, I didn't know how to cherish it back then. You really are a very, very good person. It's just that at that time, I was blinded by obsession. The more Serena seemed unattainable, the more I couldn't let go of her. Now, like this, it's probably retribution. I was silent for a moment, then stood up. Don't think too much about it. Take care of yourself. He sat up in a panic, perhaps aggravated by the wound, and cried out in pain, then looked at me in panic. Are you leaving so soon? I came here to report back. There's a meeting at headquarters later. His eyes dimmed suddenly. So, you didn't come back specifically to see me? That's right, after what I did to hurt you, I shouldn't have deluded myself. He forced a bitter smile, his expression filled with extreme sorrow. Goodbye, Haley. I turned and walked out of the ward. The smell of disinfectant permeated the corridor. The floor had just been mopped and was slightly slippery. In high heels, I had to slow down my pace. A nurse passed by me and entered Rocky's ward behind me. Moments later, his hoarse cry of immense pain came from inside, almost making my heart skip a beat. Instinctively, I tightened my grip on the handle of my bag, but I walked steadily, without even turning my head. Story over.